Randall resigned the next morning. No speech. No email. He just cleared his desk and disappeared. I wish I could say I felt triumphant. But I didn't. I felt free. Because I didn't win through vengeance. I won through truth. And I didn't win alone. The storm had passed. Or at least, the lightning had. After the board meeting, after Randall's quiet resignation, after the district-wide statement of support, my world began to settle into a new kind of normal. One where I walked down the halls not as a secret, but as a story. Not as a risk, but as a resource. And just when I thought the dust had finally settled, another offer came, one that would test everything I thought I wanted. It came in a crisp envelope slipped under my classroom door, not unlike the very first anonymous note I'd received months ago. Except this one had the official district seal on the front. Inside was a formal letter from Superintendent Monroe and the Brighton Ridge School Board. We are pleased to offer Ms. Nicole Renner a full-time, permanent teaching contract at Brighton Ridge High School, beginning this summer, with benefits and tenure-track privileges. My hand shook. It wasn't a dream. I was no longer a sub. I was home. But the letter didn't end there. There was a second page. In addition to the teaching contract, the district is creating a pilot initiative to train and mentor inclusive educators statewide. We would like you, Nicole, to be the inaugural director of inclusive learning, part-time to start, but with future leadership potential. My jaw dropped. Director. Me? I reread it 3 times, my eyes snagging on phrases like district voice and public representation. It was everything I had fought for. It was also terrifying. I spent the weekend pacing my apartment, rereading every word and trying to imagine my life as a public symbol of something so personal. Would I still be seen as Nicole, the teacher who made chemistry fun and comforting? Or would I now be Nicole, the trans teacher in every press release? Emily's words echoed in my head. You gave me the courage to stop hiding. But what if stepping into the spotlight meant I lost the thing that made me a good teacher in the first place? Connection. Focus. Stillness. Monday morning, I asked Principal Lang for 5 minutes. She shut the door behind us, coffee in hand. Let me guess. You're scared to say yes. I blinked. Am I that obvious? She smiled. Only to those who've watched you bloom. I sighed. I'm afraid if I take the role, I'll stop being a teacher. Or worse, I'll become a symbol people tear down the moment I trip. She sat down across from me, her voice gentle but firm. Nicole, do you remember what you said in your summit speech? I nodded. You said you didn't come to be brave. You came to be real. She leaned forward. And being real doesn't end in the classroom. You taught this school how to listen. Maybe now, it's time to teach the world. That night, I emailed Superintendent Monroe. I accepted the position. I also asked for one condition. I would remain in the classroom, at least part-time. Because as much as I wanted to help shape policy, create programs, speak to other schools, I needed the heartbeat of Room 217. I needed students. I needed the ordinary magic of learning, the sacred chaos of lab partners, missed homework, and impromptu debates about if Pluto still counts as a planet. Just when everything seemed to align, one more twist arrived in the form of a comment on a viral video. She's not brave. She's pretending. Another performance for clicks. I almost scrolled past. Almost. But then I clicked the name. It was someone from my past. Not a parent. Not a stranger. My college roommate. The first person I'd ever come out to, and the first person to turn their back when I did. The one who said, "You'll ruin your life if you do this." Now here he was, lurking in my present. Trying to rewrite my truth again. I'd faced parents. I'd faced students. I'd even faced a school board with cold eyes and hot questions. But I hadn't faced him. Derek Wallace. My college roommate. My former best friend. The first person I trusted with the truth. And the first to weaponize it. Back then, I was still Neil Carter, cautious, closeted, and clinging to every ounce of borrowed courage. Derek and I had shared late-night study sessions, deep debates about politics and sci-fi, and drunken laughter after finals. I thought I knew him. But when I told him, stammered, really, that I believed I might be trans, that I wasn't sure I could live the life everyone expected of me, His response? You're overthinking it. Don't destroy what you've built. This isn't brave, it's selfish. We hadn't spoken since. Until now. After seeing his snide comment online, I'd done something reckless. I messaged him. Just 5 words. You want to talk? Come. I didn't expect a reply. But that afternoon, he did more than reply, he showed up. He stood at the back of my classroom after hours, the same old leather jacket, the same posture. But his expression was different, like he wasn't sure if he'd walked into a church or a courtroom. Nicole, he said, voice low. That's my name, I said, gesturing to the plaque on my desk. Did you forget it? He winced. I didn't mean to. You meant to remind me of who I used to be, I cut in. Or who you thought I should have stayed. He dropped into a desk chair and ran a hand through his hair. Look, I saw the video. Everyone's talking about you. But when I saw the name and realized who it was, you panicked, I finished. So you left a comment. Not a message. Not a call. A comment. He had the decency to look ashamed. I thought maybe, if people knew, they'd be more careful. Careful about what? Accepting me? I asked. Liking me? He didn't answer. I didn't comment because I hate you, he finally said. I commented because I missed you. And seeing you like that, like this, made me feel like I'd lost you forever. I blinked. He continued. I didn't know how to follow you into this new life. I didn't know if I could. So instead of trying, I lashed out. I took a long breath. Derek, you didn't lose me because I changed. You lost me because you refused to believe I could still be me. Silence. You don't have to get it, I added. But you do have to respect it. He nodded slowly. And then, to my surprise, he stood and offered his hand. I'm sorry. Truly. And if there's room in your life for someone who's still learning, I'd like to try. I hesitated, then shook his hand. But the internet wasn't done. The next morning, a new headline hit the education blogs. Viral trans teacher's former roommate speaks out. She's not who I knew. I stared at the screen. Derek. He'd given an interview. He hadn't meant it maliciously, at least that's what he claimed when I called him. But his quotes were cherry-picked, taken out of context, twisted. The article painted me as an unstable figure, an example of how personal identity politics invade public classrooms. The comment section was vicious. And now, the backlash had gone national. That afternoon, the superintendent called. I need you to take a few days off, she said gently. You're not in trouble. But the media pressure is mounting. It's for your safety. I nodded numbly. I felt like I was being erased, again. As I packed up to leave, someone knocked on my classroom door. It was Emily, holding a cardboard box. What's that? I asked. She set it on my desk. From the students. I opened it. Inside were handwritten notes, drawings, Polaroid photos, even a few rainbow bracelets. Each note said something different. But the message was the same. You taught me to believe in my voice. You helped me come out to my mom. You're more than a teacher. Your hope? Stay. I burst into tears. Not because I was broken, but because I realized I wasn't alone. Not anymore. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks since I was asked gently, politely, to step away while the district handled the media fallout. 3 weeks of silence from the superintendent's office. 3 weeks of watching my name trend, get debated, dissected, politicized, reduced to a symbol and stretched beyond recognition. They called me a hero. They called me a fraud. They called me everything except what I'd worked so hard to be. A teacher. I turned down every major interview. I declined the book offers. And I ignored the podcast invites titled things like, When Identity Disrupts the Classroom. Because they were all missing the point. This had never been about disruption. This was about becoming. One morning, near the end of the semester, I walked back into Brighton Ridge. Not because the superintendent gave me permission, but because I had decided something for myself. No one gets to exile you from your purpose when you're finally living it. Room 217 was empty. Dust motes floated in sunlight like suspended stars. My desk was just as I'd left it, save for a new photo taped to the wall. It was from the student newspaper. Me, smiling, surrounded by students holding signs that read, "We stand with Ms. Renner." Beneath it was a caption Emily must have written. She taught us science. But more than that, she taught us how to be real. I left one final letter on every desk. A printed copy. No viral speech. No summit stage. Just a letter for them. To my students. When I first returned to Brighton Ridge, I was terrified. Terrified of being seen, misunderstood, or worse, unwelcome. And yet, you saw me before I could even say who I was. You saw the way I laughed differently. You noticed the way I taught, not just spoke. You heard truth in my voice, even before you knew the cost of speaking it. You didn't just accept me. You validated me. And that made all the difference. But now, the world is watching. And not everyone wants someone like me in front of the classroom. So I'm stepping away, not because I'm afraid, but because it's time to grow the garden that started right here. I'll be working on a statewide initiative to train educators, to help create classrooms where you are safe to be you. But you? You'll always be my class. The one that taught the teacher. The one that gave me courage. The one that proved stories like mine aren't distractions, they're life rafts. If you remember nothing else, remember this. You are not a mistake. You are not a disruption. You are the story waiting to be told. And you get to be the one who tells it. Stay curious. Stay kind. Stay real. With love. Ms. Nicole Renner. As I left room 217 for the last time, I turned off the lights, pulled the door closed behind me, and whispered, "Goodbye, Carter." "Hello, me."